What's up, everybody? You're very welcome along to Saturday's late night agenda, because now as we're starting to do this, it's 10:35. We did have to wait for the Italy game to finish. Italy-Austria went into extra time. Italy have just beaten Austria by 2-1. Mad, isn't it? You get no goals in 90 minutes of normal football, then 3 goals in extra time. But here we are. We are live. We are ready to go. I hope that you're all in good form. Thank you for waiting so late. I mean, we're all caught up in the Euros today. I mean, what a game between Denmark and Wales earlier on as well. Obviously, I was gutted that one of the two nations had to go out, because I think, you know, a lot of us have soft spots for Wales, and Denmark's everybody's second country or first country, perhaps, during the Euros. But 4-0, fair play to Denmark. They go through to the quarterfinals. And Austria go out, but they did put up a good fight against Italy, and, you know, a close offside just went against them, correctly called during normal time. Ronaldo thought he'd score. But look, we're here tonight to talk about Liverpool, ladies and gentlemen. We're here tonight to talk about the transfers, or lack of transfers, I suppose. But look, most importantly, let's have a bit of fun. Great to have you all with us. Joe, say, Craig, how's your day been? It's been alright, you know, mate. It was my wife's 40th birthday yesterday, so we ventured up as far as Kildare Village. And look, anyone that knows me knows that I don't go outside very often, but, you know, I did psych myself up for it. It was the missus' 40th birthday, and she did deserve a shopping spree, as I'm sure you will agree with me, ladies and gentlemen. So it was a bit of a weird one, though, because I haven't been outside really publicly for a really long time. Like, I've had a couple of little trips to the supermarket with my wife and stuff, but yeah, a couple of people actually stopped me and asked for photos yesterday, which was odd. Not odd in a bad way, I don't mean it like that, just unexpected from me and from my wife as well. But goes to show our little community here is growing. So to the couple of people that did stop and ask for selfies yesterday, thank you for coming up. I always do urge you guys to come up and say hi if you see me out and about. But and also we had a great day yesterday, which I know a lot of you inquired about, wishing Sabrina a happy birthday and stuff, so thank you for that one. Tell Sabrina I said happy birthday. I will, of course, Keen. Look, we got loads of lovely messages yesterday, and Sabrina had a wonderful day, so yeah, all good. I was crying on the way home because, you know, she shopped. Let's just say she shopped, but she deserves it. Deserves every bit. I wasn't crying anyway, but I was, because, you know, she shopped and she shopped and she shopped. But look, anyway, we're here to talk about Liverpool shopping, or maybe lack of shopping. So look, let's look at this from a couple of different ways, ladies and gentlemen. What do we know? Well, we know that the Kylian Mbappe stuff, rightly or wrongly, has come up again in the last day or two on social media. We've seen Fabrizio Romano, like most of us who have, you know, some type of common sense, we don't think Mbappe is coming to Liverpool. But, so Fabrizio Romano said no interest. Some guy who, or no approach, I should say, excuse me. Some guy who we've never heard of before, who has, I think, 6,000 Twitter followers, but is verified and is a journalist, said Liverpool have made an approach to PSG around Mbappe. And look, let me just put this to you. I'm not somebody that thinks we're going to sign Kylian Mbappe, but let me just, you know, put this up the flagpole and see if anybody salutes. We are in a situation right now where, and this has been publicly acknowledged as well by some British-based journalists, we haven't even started talking to Mohamed Salah about a new deal. So, why? Why are we not talking to Mohamed Salah about a new deal? Do these things go hand in hand? Is there perhaps a chance that Liverpool would look at Kylian Mbappe? As much as I and many others doubt it. But if it is, it seems to be that, you know, as unlikely a scenario as it is that we go in for Mbappe, any scenario that may see us going for Mbappe would lead to Mohamed Salah going. So I'm just thinking, and again, you know, I like to just think out loud and have a conversation. Why are we not talking to Mo? Is it because of Mbappe? Or is it because Mo's on his holidays perhaps and we just haven't gotten around to it yet? But either way, when you've got a player like Mohamed Salah who's entering into the final 2 years of his deal, it does start to leave you scratching your head a little bit. And then there is the Olympic scenario, and I don't like to call it a row because I don't think there is a row between Salah and the club, but Salah does want to go to the Olympics with Egypt. At least that's what's been put out in the media. And Liverpool's preference was for himself and Kanade not to go to the Olympics for obvious reasons. Now, I don't know how this gets resolved. I don't know when this gets resolved, but I hope it does get resolved because none of us want to lose Mo. I certainly am naive enough to think that we're in for Mbappe because we all know we can't afford the guy's wages. And even if we were to be in for him, we probably have to sell Mo to do it. So yeah, I want to get your thoughts on it because I know a lot of you guys will have been paying close attention to social media over the last few days. And we will talk about Ronaldo, Sanchez, and we'll talk about Ryan Gravenberch, and we'll talk about lots of other players as well over the course of the next half hour or so. why don't we renew his contract to pro gamer? See, that's what has me completely baffled, mate. I fully understand that we probably can't afford MBAPPE. In fact, I understand we can't afford MBAPPE, but I don't understand why we aren't sorting things out with Mohamed Salah quickly. Because, it's been publicly put out there, the club's preferences are to sort out Alisson, Virgil van Dijk and Fabinho's contract. But Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane and I think Bobby Firmino are also heading into the last 2 years of their contract. So it is a bit of an odd one, this. And I don't know why. I can't imagine it's an oversight by the club that they haven't looked at the Mohamed Salah situation and approached Remy Abbas, I think the gentleman's name is, who represents Mo, at least on matters of legal stuff. It's baffling, isn't it? I'm sitting here and I'm just hoping every day that we see an announcement that Mohamed Salah signed a new deal. But, yeah, it's confusing. It is. And look, I'm not going to go 2 foot in. I'm not going to go over the top. And, people are saying in the chat there, Salah is better than MBAPPE. Yeah, I understand that. I understand that people feel that way, sorry. But, one, it's not a great look when it's always one or the other. And again, I'm not saying we're in for MBAPPE, but I mean, surely we've learned from the Gini Wijnaldum situation that we can't be dicking about here. Mohamed Salah deserves the respect of being offered a new contract by the club. And he should be getting that. And it should be on improved terms. And I don't think any of us will debate that. So yeah, it is mad. It really is mad that this... I don't want this to become a headache. This shouldn't be the thing that maps out our summer for us. It shouldn't be everybody wondering, well, hang on, what's going on with Mo? Mo deserves a new deal. Mo should be given a new deal. I think we'll all agree on that one. Nico and Wilson have to be sold, said Spitfire. Look, Nico Williams, he had a bit of a stinker today for the, I think it was the second goal that Wales conceded. And look, it's Nico himself that seems to be the catalyst of wanting to move on. And if he does go, the club want 10 million quid from by the looks of it. Wilson, my opinion on Harry Wilson. I don't think he's good enough for Liverpool Football Club. And again, I think Benfica, interestingly enough, have made an approach to Liverpool over Harry Wilson. They didn't offer what Liverpool wanted. They walked away from the negotiations. But according to the article that I read, Liverpool fully expect Benfica to come back in, which would be a very interesting move for Harry Wilson, I have to say. I mean, yeah, going to Benfica, that would be a nice club to have on the CV if it did happen. My day's been good, thank you, Jack. Brian, nice to see you in as well. Pro Gamer says, totally agree. Unpopular opinion, says Seopa. Liverpool have actually been more active than other big teams. Majority of the fans, including myself, are more frustrated with the lack of links with players and interest. Look, any opinion is worth discussing on the channel, my man, or my friend, excuse me. I don't know if it's male or female, but my friend. So, let's look at this one. You say Liverpool have been as active as other big teams. I don't think we have. I read a stat today that Pep Guardiola, since he came into Manchester City, has spent net, now net by the way, not gross, net, 500 and something million quid. And that's before he looks at maybe 200 million for Maguire and Grealish. United, very close to signing Jadon Sancho. It's just a matter of 5 million in add-ons or 5 million up front at this point. Chelsea, we know, are in for Erling Haaland, or at least are in for a striker. And we've signed Ibrahima Konate. And look, I think that's a good piece of business by the football club. But I don't agree that we've been as active. So Everton, as an example, don't have a manager, so can't really do too much at the minute. Spurs don't have a manager, can't really do too much at the minute. So I kind of would disagree with you, mate, because I also know that United are looking strongly at Rafa Varane as well, and that Rafa Varane has at least inclinated to Real Madrid that he'd be willing to listen to what Manchester United have to say around that move. So I kind of would disagree with you, but just because it's quiet, I get that point. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. Doesn't mean nothing is going on in the background. It just means the club, if they are doing business or if they are looking into things, are doing it rather quietly, and that's not always a bad thing. What else we got? If City get Jack Grealish and Harry Kane, will anyone be able to stop them? Did I say Maguire? Sorry, I meant to say Kane. Sorry, my apologies. You know me, sometimes my head just goes ahead of my mouth, or my mouth goes ahead of my head. There you go, so you have it again. Right, so, anywho, let's talk about, I meant Kane and Grealish, sorry, my bad, my head's all over the shop. Right, let's talk about, where was I? Connery distracted me, you fucker, on the Mundo Sporto account as well, really confusing me. Will anyone be able to stop them? Well, look, I think the fair point that somebody put up on Twitter earlier on, one of the guys that I chat with regularly on there, is that okay, you can only play 11 players, and even with Grealish and Kane, we could still make an argument in a one-off game against Manchester City that we could match them. But for me, where the real drop-off comes would be over the course of the season with rotation. So the quality of backups that Pep Guardiola would have at his disposal would be far superior to the quality of backups that I think Liverpool would have. So I think over the course of the season, that's where the imbalance would come in, and rightly agree with what you had to say there. I'm completely with Craig. Where's the money, John? Oh, Stephen, I've been saying the same thing, the exact same phrase. Where's the money? For a good while now. Is Kelleher still being loaned out? No. The plan is that he's number 2 at the club now. So we signed a new long-term deal. I'm sure you guys all seen that the other day. Delighted for Caoimhín Kelleher that he did that. And yeah, it looks like he's number 2 at the club and Adrian's number 3, which is sound. Where did I get this kit from? I bought it when I was over in Florida a while ago. Well, I say a while ago, like I think it's 3 years ago at this point. I went in, there's a shop over there called United World of Soccer, I think it's called. And I went in and bought a load of MLS shirts when I was in there. Right, according to Fabrizio Romano, Liverpool's first target to renew the contract of Van Dijk and Alisson Becker. That's what I was saying earlier on, mate. Van Dijk, Alisson Becker, you can add Fabinho to that list as well, by the way, because they seem to be the 3 priorities. Is anybody else worried then about the Mohamed Salah situation? Because I'm starting to get really freaked out by it. Like, oh, yes, I understand we might not, or we won't sign MBAPPE, or we're very, very, very unlikely to sign MBAPPE. I don't think any of us have much of an argument over that. But where I do draw the line is pissing off the player that has been extremely consistent from a goal scoring front for us over the past 4 years or so. So, get Mohamed Salah's contract sorted out, and sorted out quickly. And don't dick about, don't disrespect the man. Get talking with him about a new contract. It feels like City, United and Chelsea are massively improving while we stand still, said Mick Wall. And yes, Mick, I don't disagree. I agree with a lot of the things you have to say, mate. And I would certainly feel a little bit frustrated myself at this moment in time. But that doesn't mean that we won't do business, mate. And I hate feeling like an apologist for owners that I'm angry at, by the way. But I just try to be reasonable in what I have to say and not be too emotional. I get emotional during watch-alongs, by all means, but, when it comes to transfer business, I always say to you guys the same thing. I look at the start of a transfer window, and then I look at the end of a window, and the only question I ask myself is, have we improved as a squad when the window ended? If the answer is yes, I'm usually fairly happy. But this is a big window, so I agree with what Mick has to say. We've seen others go out there and strengthen, or look to strengthen, and we have to do the same. Did you see Konate celebrating his move? I did, and it was lovely to see, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing Ibrahima Konate in a Liverpool shirt. Do you think Firmino will leave, make space for MBAPPE? No, I don't. So if we look at Firmino's situation and take that as the context for the start of this conversation, a lot of the links that we've seen to Daniel Malen are that he is looked at as a successor long-term to Bobby Firmino. So my reading of that situation, and again, it would just be my reading, is if we did sign Daniel Malen, that he would be here for a year at least with Bobby, and then maybe seen as a Bobby replacement. I don't think any of our front 3 will be going anywhere this summer. So, I'm worried about the Mohamed Salah situation. I'd like to see Sadio offered a new deal. But of the 3 of them, I think the one long term to most likely move on in a year or so is probably Bobby. But on Daniel Malen, Liverpool aren't alone in their interest of him. So Dortmund are letting it be known that they'd like him as an Erling Haaland replacement as well. So again, we got to keep an eye on what's happening. Now, the midfield situation is obviously another really interesting one. So we've gone through Neuhaus, we've gone through Ronaldo Sanchez, we've gone through Yves Bissouma at times. Well, Ryan Gravenberch is another name. It seems to be down to around those 4 people right now. Ryan Gravenberch, Neuhaus, Bissouma and Ronaldo Sanchez. They seem to be the 4 major talking points. And we've covered most of them, but not really Ryan Gravenberch. I don't want to say I wrote him off, but I did question whether bringing in an 18-year-old would be something that the club would do to replace Gini Wijnaldum. But, Ryan Gravenberch is a talented dude, so, I'm on the choo-choo for Jude Bellingham next summer. But I also am of the mindset that we do have to build for, the future. So, if you got Ryan Gravenberch for a reasonable fee this summer and you added next summer the likes of maybe Jude Bellingham, then you've got a younger midfield moving forward then, as well as what we already have at the club. Because Jimmy Milner can't go on forever, Hendo can't go on forever. Those guys are getting into their 30s now. Well, Jimmy Milner's case is mid to late 30s. So yeah, I don't see Isaac happening. I really don't. There are some very good and very credible sites that say that Liverpool's interest in Alexander Isaac is real, but ask yourself this, and this is the thing that I keep asking myself: do we see a scenario where Liverpool go and drop the €70 million release clause for Isaac? Because I don't see that happening, particularly not this summer. Malin makes sense because 25 million quid. That's pretty much a number that I think we all agree is a realistic number with regards to our owner spending. Liverpool are in talks with McGinn. I'm in two minds on this one. If you take the price tag out of it, which seems to be around 50 million quid, I think I missed a super chat earlier on actually, so let me go back up here. I did. Is Kelleher still being loaned out? Actually, I did it, sorry. And then there was another one here in a second. On the Salah New Deal train, choo choo, said Owen McParland. So am I, dude. So where were we again? What was I talking about there? I mean, I'm getting carried away myself here. Maybe I'm a little bit too eager because we're late to get through everything quickly. We were talking about midfield. We were talking about McGinn. Yeah, so John McGinn. So somebody said that Robbo should be in his ear today. So one of the journalists I read said that Robbo should be in his ear trying to get McGinn to Liverpool. And as a player, I'd have no issues with John McGinn coming to Liverpool. He wouldn't have been top on my list. But, the only part of it that worries me is the price tag. But then I come back to my own question at the start and go, as a fan, should I really be concerned about a price tag? Because my point was, I'm only concerned if we have a stronger squad at the end of the window or not. So I feel a bit hypocritical even questioning John McGinn because of the price tag. So I don't see it being realistic, but I do like John McGinn as a footballer. 26 years of age. They got him for like less than 2.5 mil or something from Hibernian, Aston Villa. But I'll put this question back out to you as well. The same question I've put out a few times. If Villa lose Grealish, surely they're not going to want to lose McGinn. Now, I know they've signed a couple of midfielders. But, you're talking about two very established guys at the club there. Two of their most, prominent players. So, it'd be an interesting one. But I do think if we were talking about McGinn and 50 million quid, I have to be honest and say I feel that there's better value out there in the market than a John McGinn at that price point. Is Benitez going to Everton? It looks that way, Owen. Yes, so over the last week or two, it's gone up and down and up and down. So there was the initial leak that Rafa Benitez was close to agreeing a deal to become the Everton manager. Then there was the backlash from a few Everton fans, some of them pinning stuff up outside Woodison to say, well, I don't want to say what they said because it wasn't very nice, but it seems like, yes, Rafael Benitez is close to becoming the new Everton manager, and I would probably expect to see something unfold over the coming days about that one. And look, I'm not going to tell anybody how to feel on it, but I've told you guys before, for me, Rafa, it goes beyond football with me. My admiration for the man, if he takes over the Everton job, so be it. They still won't win at him, even with Rafa there. So, yeah, there you go. Ronaldo, Sanchez, Nadeem wants to talk about. Again, I mean, a lot of the stuff tonight you'll hear me saying nah. But I can see it. I can honestly see it with Ronaldo Sanchez. I can see the appeal. I can see the price being fairly reasonable, and I can see the profile of player being right with the age being right for Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool. So I definitely put him in the definite maybe pile. Neuhaus, I honestly can't make up my mind whether the Neuhaus stuff is genuine or if it's all just paper talk and he's going to go to Bayern Munich next year. So I'm genuinely on the fence on that one. Bissouma's gone very quiet. Originally when the summer started, in my head, Bissouma was going to be the most likely one that Liverpool would go out and look to sign from Brighton, because you can see how he could come in and at least try to fill a genuine Yaldum-shaped hole in the midfield that we have. We owe Rafa, he don't owe us, said David Newell. Yeah, I've seen a couple of Liverpool fans getting a bit angry with Rafael Benitez, and I honestly don't understand why. But look, again, don't want to tell anyone how to feel. What's the difference between Spurs and a book? Go on, Jack. Go on, give us the answer, mate. What is it? Neuhaus looks good, said Capo Can. He does. From the bits and pieces I've seen and the stats I've looked over, he does look a player, mate. And if Bayern Munich are after you, you usually are quite a good footballer. Yes, sir. Thank you for the super sticker, dude, with the mood. Appreciate it. I'm waiting to see the answer to this joke. Is it true that we have a 50 million transfer budget? No. I mean, if you were a club, why would you tell anybody what your transfer budget was? It's just stupidity of the highest order. So, no, mate. I never believe anything when I hear the phrase, a club have X amount to spend. Coutinho alert, said Mick Wall. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm running through this really quickly tonight, but there is a lot of stuff to talk about. So Coutinho, apparently Barcelona could be willing to loan him. Now, there's another piece that I read today that says, Jack said Bucks have titles, but boom, I like it, Jack. Although they have won 2 UEFA Cups or something, Spurs. But I get you, mate. I'm with you. Let's stick the boot in. Let's have a laugh. No problem. Right, so on Coutinho, you know my feelings. Made it very clear. Don't want him back near Liverpool. Worried about his knee injury. Hasn't played since January. Nobody seems to want him. Barca can't get him off the books quick enough. But from what's been put out there, he really would like a move back to Liverpool. Now, we'd seen him linked with Everton. We'd seen him linked with United. We'd seen him linked with Leicester. But if Barca were willing to loan him, I don't know if that would change the perspective from the club. I honestly don't know. My perspective would still be the same. I don't think we should go back near Coutinho. But it would be interesting to see. And the reason I really feel like that there is a no to this is because of the way he went about moving. So we all know about the back stuff and all that around the time. But what I told you guys before was a really good article written by Melissa Reddy that said that Coutinho went behind Klopp's back and asked senior pros at the club to help, smooth the way for him to make that move to Barcelona. And that seemed to be the point at which Klopp and Michael Edwards said, no, sell him. So I would be, I'm all for forgiving and forgetting and all that stuff, but I would be very surprised, having seen what I've seen from Jurgen Klopp, if that was the case, if he did welcome him back. But, it's football, so you can never say never. Luke JG said Malin and Sanchez equals perfect signings. They would be 2 very good signings, mate, and along with Canade and maybe freeing up some more money for a later addition to the squad, maybe. Yeah, I wouldn't be too angry at that one. Nicola Barea or Oar Barea, 100%. I've told you guys for ages how much I admire Barea. Played very well again for Italy tonight, particularly at the start. First half I thought he was much better than he was second, but I don't see Inter having as much need to sell now. So it looks like Hakimi to Paris Saint-Germain is a done deal. I was saying this to you guys for ages. There was links to Chelsea, but I always said that I felt that he would end up at Paris Saint-Germain, and it looks like, along with Gianluigi Donnarumma, who's gone to PSG on a free, well, I say a free, you know what I mean. It looks like that they're going to get Hakimi over the line as well. Tielemans, look, I don't know about Yuri Tielemans to Liverpool. I can see why, but I still don't think we'd pay the premium it would take to get him out of Leicester. So, there's 2 sides to it. Do I like him as a footballer? Yes. Would I have him at Liverpool? Yes. Do I believe that our owners aren't stingy as fuck and would actually pony up what it would take to get him? Nope. Not without selling somebody who we don't want to sell. So yeah, that's my take on Tielemans. I think all of us would agree he'd be a good addition, but I think we'd all also have doubts that we would pay what it would take to get him out of Leicester City. Jude Bellingham or Nico Barea? Jude Bellingham, yes here. Jude Bellingham to me he's now my holy grail, put it that way. I mean, choo 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 is where I'm saying with Bellingham. Look, ladies and gentlemen, by the way, let me just give a shout out to a video that we put out yesterday that's really close to hitting the 10k mark, which for us triggers something with OneFootball. So if you haven't yet watched the latest OneFootball news video, it's I think 12.5 minutes long. Please do go and watch it. I can tell you the title of it now. We're close enough to it, but every little one of you guys to watch it will push it over the line for us and help us out. It's Liverpool 27 million Malin move. That video, if you guys can watch that later on, help us push it over the 10k mark, that would mean a lot. Thank you. Right, I'm going to shut up talking now and read some of your questions, although that will involve me talking a bit, so soz. But I'm gonna read your questions anyway. Would I take Kovacic at Liverpool? No, but I tell you what I would say, Tom, is I vastly underrated him while he was at Real Madrid, and since Thomas Tuchel's coming to Chelsea, I've started to see the appeal of Kovacic a bit more. Rafa going to get Everton relegated. We can but hope, David, mate. We can but hope. How am I doing this evening? Said Archie. Tickety boo, buddy. Tickety boo. What's linked with Mbappe? So it's a bit of a mixed bag, Baxton. There are people in the Twitter sphere and a couple of journalists who have said that Liverpool are interested in Kylian Mbappe and that Liverpool are weighing up their options and could make an approach. But you got to weigh that up with the fact that, let's say, in a very unlikely scenario where Liverpool tried to get Mbappe, and I do think it's very unlikely, from everything that I've gauged and read, it would be at the expense of Mohamed Salah. So, let's not piss off the great Mohamed Salah by pie-in-the-sky stuff around Kylian Mbappe. Give Mohamed Salah a new deal. And the fact that all signs seem to suggest that we haven't even started talking with him about a new deal yet really, really annoys me. And I'm sure really, really annoys Mohamed Salah, and rightly so. Any news on Vlahovic? Look, there's no news. Like, there literally is no news on anybody. All this is us having debates about who's more realistic and who isn't. So for the midfield scenario, it seems to be down to 4 that we're aware of. As I said, Ryan Gravenberch, Basuma, Neuhaus and Ronaldo Sanchez. They seem to be the 4 leading contenders, but there are numerous articles that say Liverpool are taking their time and weighing up all the options before deciding who to try and bring in to replace Gini Wijnaldum. And that's okay. I think we'll all agree best to get it right. If that takes a little bit of time extra, brilliant, as long as we get the player. Now, ideally, we'd like all these players to be back in when we start pre-season training in early July, albeit some of them, of course, may be away at the Copa America or the Euros, and they would, of course, be entitled to a longer break. But Klopp does like to get his players in as early as possible. So in an ideal world, these deals or any potential deals will be done fairly quickly. So, you know, I think the coming weeks will give us a better gauge on what's happening. Don't I think Jurgen Klopp deserves to be back this summer? Oh, Rana, 100%. I mean, I think Klopp has been very fair towards our owners with what he's done. I mean, I think he's overachieved, if anything. Same with Michael Edwards has done really well in the way he's recruited and sold. But yes, I would agree with you. When you're looking around and see United getting Sancho, you know, the money that Manchester City are going to potentially be dropping on I'll get it right this time, Connor, on Grealish and Kane. And you know that Chelsea are looking for a striker and could be after Erling Haaland. Yeah, and look at what the business Chelsea did last window, by the way, or last summer as well. Yeah, we've every right to think, pony up and back the manager. Like, how can we constantly hear we've got no money when every other fucking club has money? Why is it that for a club that's making record money with regards to commercial deals, television revenue and stuff, we always haven't got a pot to piss in? Or at least that's what we're told. I think that's the one question we'd all love to know. And the answer can't always be because we have the second highest wage bill. That can't always be the fucking get out of jail free card for the owners. Although not that many of us are giving them a get out of jail free card, to be honest. Fabrizio said that the Mbappe news is fake and there's nothing between Liverpool and Mbappe. Yeah, I agree, Rasheen. I did read that from Fabrizio Romano. He was asked under the thread from the journalist that said we were interested in him. Were we? And he said no. I did read that. I absolutely agree with what you've had to say. Mbappe, this deal, I'll be happy when it's done because we're linked with many players, said Panache. Wouldn't swap Salah for anybody, said Brooklyn. I mean, I wouldn't go as far as to say I wouldn't swap Salah for anybody, but what I would go as far as to say is I think Mohamed Salah deserves to be treated with more respect by the club than he seemingly is right now. I don't know if the club are hedging their bets and they're waiting to see if maybe John W. Henry does hold out some semi-delusional hope that he could get Nike to come on board and maybe help fund something for Mbappe. But if that's at the expense of pissing off Mohamed Salah, and let's say it goes tits up and we don't get Mbappe and he either stays at PSG or goes elsewhere, and then you're looking around going, oh hey Mo, want to sit down now mate and start negotiating your new deal, and Mohamed Salah tells you no, well then, you know, you deserve that no. So I think it's time that we just make sure we look after Mo, because if anyone deserves a new deal, he deserves a new deal. Van Dijk, yep, deserves a new deal. Fabinho, yep. Alisson, yep. But yeah, gotta give Mo his new deal. Give it to him. Just join the stream. What have I missed? Whatever it is we have missed, Liam, we're likely to go back over it again, buddy. Kingsley Coman bid news. I don't think there is any Kingsley Coman bid. It's always seemed a bit of a far-fetched link for me that Liverpool are going to Bayern Munich for Kingsley Coman. I don't know that to be the case. At least I've not read anything to say that there's truth to it. Would I rather Mount or De Jong? We're not really comparing apples with apples there, mate, to be fair. I think they're both very good players, but Mount's a bit more on the front foot. Certainly is a better goal return than De Jong. But look, they're both quality footballers. Coop Miners and Vlahovic. So on the Vlahovic thing, again, it's gone quiet. We know he's at Fiorentina. We know he wants to move by the looks of it this summer. 21 years of age. Again, right profile. I don't know what the price would be on Vlahovic. Haven't got a clue. Sexy Craig. Is that you, Springer? No, it's not. It's Julian. Thank you, Julian. I could see FSG selling Salah. They never spent big before Coutinho deals and weren't winning anything. So, let's just say, again, in a really unlikely scenario, that Liverpool go to Paris Saint-Germain. We want MBAPPE. He's not going to sign a new deal with you guys. You won't want to lose him next summer. We want Kylian Mbappe. What's the number? So you would imagine that there's two conversations. The conversation with his father and his representatives about what the player would want, and then the conversation with PSG if they ever actually admit to themselves that they may have to sell him. If that was the scenario, I would envision a scenario where they probably look at Mohamed Salah as somebody who they would like to bring into PSG. We know that Mauricio Pochettino and the PSG board, if they were to lose Mbappe, at least publicly, it's been put out there in the media that Harry Kane and Mohamed Salah are the two top options for them. So, whatever way I look at this and whatever way I weigh it up, it feels like the Salah situation and the Mbappe situation are linked whether we like them or not. Even if it involves Mbappe going elsewhere, PSG may try and turn Mohamed Salah's head. And again, with the fact that Liverpool don't seem to have, started contract negotiations with Mo, it all adds up to a very confusing situation that somebody needs to get their finger out and get sorted very soon. Either you go out for Mbappe or you show Mo the respect he deserves. It's one or the other. You cannot just wait around and piss off Mohamed Salah, who deserves respect and deserves a lot of respect. What is Ronaldo Sanchez's price? I don't know if anyone actually knows that answer, mate. And by that I mean, I haven't read of a release clause in his contract at Lille. There may be one, I don't know. But I would imagine that his stock right now is fairly high. Not just because Lille went and won the French First Division title, but because he's doing pretty damn good with Portugal in the Euros as well. So, I think, I'd be making up a number, mate. I really would. But what I will say is, I can absolutely see him as a realistic option for Klopp, for the club, and for the profile of footballer and stuff. So yeah, I can realistically see him as somebody where I go, okay, yeah, I can piece all them pieces together in my mind. Fee, wages, everything as to why he could be a genuine Yalden replacement. Brian says 35 million euro. If that's the price, if it's 35 million euro, get the fucker. And I mean that in a nice way, like. Lille need money, don't they? I would imagine they're probably going to shift a lot of players on. Ikone, another player at Lille who looks very promising. The young lads, the midfielder, having an 18-year-old midfielder whose name always escapes me. I know Arsenal are after the guy from Ron, but don't Lille have a young midfielder as well? And then, of course, Lille have that defender who we were linked with going back a while ago, who's the centre-back. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Can Liverpool hijack the Sancho deal? No, that's done. Like, that is done. And here's another reason why we won't hijack it. We won't pay him £350,000 a week, which Manchester United are seemingly willing to pay Jadon Sancho. So, yeah, not a hope in hell. Sven Botman, yes, thank you. That was the other guy, yes, Sven Botman. And Camavinga. Camavinga, isn't he at Ron? That's the guy at Ron, but isn't there another guy or is it Camavinga that's at Lille? I know there's two young French midfielders that are around this summer, and Arsenal are after one of them. Craig, do you think Tariq Lamptey would be a monster at Liverpool? I think Tariq Lamptey is a fine footballer who left Chelsea in search of more first team football, so I don't think he'd come to Liverpool to sit behind Robbo, if you get where I'm coming from. Very fine footballer. I think he made the right move going to Brighton because he's seen what was ahead of him at Chelsea. But I do like Lamptey. I just don't think he'd want to be anybody's backup, and rightly so. Sumar, that's one of the guys, yes. Another good midfielder. he's not linked, but would you have Coutinho back? He kind of is linked though, mate. I was just saying this earlier on in the stream. So there's talk that Barca are that desperate to offload him and his wages that they may even take a loan for Coutinho, with maybe an option or an obligation to buy, I don't know. What position do you think Liverpool need most? It's interesting because we've got the centre-back situation sorted. As things stand, without anybody else leaving, I'd say we probably need to strengthen an attack. So whether that's... Oh, I say without anybody else leaving, I mean anybody that we don't think is going to leaving. So I would say attack, then followed by midfield. But, interestingly enough, there's been links to Costa Simicas moving, and I'm fairly sure it was to Italy, maybe to Napoli. So Costa Simicas situation's gone up and down, up and down, up and down. 1 minute, he was going to be leaving apparently. The next minute, no, he was going to be staying, and now he could potentially be leaving again. So we could have a scenario here where Nico Williams moves somewhere for 10 million quid, leaving us short at right back, and Costa Simicas, the guy who was brought in to finally give Robbo some backup, goes again. So what do we do? I mean, it looks like for the right back situation, at least from what we're being told, Conor Bradley and Joe Gomez are seeing as viable options to fill in at right back. But the left back scenario, I mean, we've seen Jimmy Milner play there before, and while Jimmy Milner is good, you don't get what you need to get going forward from Jimmy Milner because he has to keep cutting back in on his right foot. So I'm confused. If we do move on Costa Simicas, surely to Jesus we have to go out there and get another fullback. Do you think Gravenberch would be our most realistic midfield signing, as he's 35 million as a Liverpool fan from childhood? He's certainly a good option. So, do I think he's the most realistic? It's hard to say. I would say, let me put it this way. I think right now the most unrealistic is probably Basuma, of the four that I mentioned earlier on. And then I can make a case in my head as to why Neuhaus, Gravenberch and Ronaldo Sanchez are all viable options. I can absolutely see why we go after those three guys. So the honest answer for me is I don't know if he's the most realistic or not, but I think he's certainly up there of the most with the most realistic. Thoughts on Thiago? I love him. I'm very happy he's a Liverpool player, and I think we'll see more of Thiago this season. He showed towards the end of the season that he started to get a spring back in his step. And, you know, he was out for a while with injury, and then the midfield options that was in and around them weren't the ones he was brought in to play with. So, yeah, very happy. And I think, you know, this season we'll finally see what we hoped we were going to see from Thiago. Am I familiar with Silas from Stuttgart? I am not, mate, sorry, no. But I'm always happy to learn if you've got some info you want to put in on him. Boy said, I think next summer we can expect big signings. Yeah. Is that you, John? John? Is that you? Nah, I'm only winding you up, mate. It's just that that's what we always hear, isn't it? Next summer, you know, we would have gone big this summer, but COVID. We would have gone big this summer, but we had to renew contracts. We would have gone... It's always next summer, isn't it? And then when next summer comes around, there's always a built-in excuse as to why it can't be this summer. So, you know, yeah, I think you get where I'm coming from. What about Gio Reyna? I've not seen anything new on Gio Reyna. Nor do I think that Dortmund will want to lose Gio Reyna this summer. So we know Klopp certainly has an interest in the American youngster. And Dortmund, they're not going to want to be stripped of all their big players. So we've got the Haaland stuff. Jadon Sancho looks like he's going to move on. Julian Brandt seems to be available. So then if you're looking towards the future, if you're them, you're thinking, right, well, we've got Jude Bellingham, we've got Gio Reyna. Are they going to want to start losing their best youngsters now as well? So... You know, great footballer, absolutely on Jurgen Klopp's radar. I just don't think it will be this summer. Who's winning the Euros? Every day, I'm changing my mind, fella. Every day. 1 minute I'm looking at it and thinking, Italy. And then today I thought they were average for a lot of the game, although they got the job done. Then I was thinking Germany, but sure, they've only had one good game, really, haven't they? So, France... It's probably top of my list, but you know, I think the Netherlands could be worth a little sneaky punt. I did say punt, by the way. I definitely used the p sound and not the k. Marlon news. There isn't any. There's no news, mate, other than he's somebody that we're monitoring, and so are Borussia Dortmund. Daka has come out himself, by the way, just to confirm that he's going to Leicester City, so we can definitely, put that one to bed. Denmark look very good. Yeah, I mean, look, we'd all like to see Denmark do well, wouldn't we? After what happened with Christian Eriksen, and they look a very good cohesive unit, and they were without Poulsen today as well, who picked up a knock in training yesterday. So, yeah, certainly a very good result for them, a 4-0 victory over Wales. I mean, I did not see that amount of goals being scored today. I didn't see a 4-0 game, but it was. I think Houssam Aouar is who you're thinking of. He plays for Lyon. I'm absolutely not thinking of Houssam Aouar, mate, nor is he 18 years of age. I know very well who Houssam Aouar is, and you are right. He has been linked to Arsenal. They tried to sign him in the last window, or last summer maybe, but and he looks like he could be available this summer. Lyon, Jean-Michel Aulas, the Lyon president, not the easiest person to negotiate with, but I think there's an agreement in place with Houssam Aouar that he can go. So that's not the guy I'm thinking of. But certainly, yes, you are right in that we have both been linked to him at one point. France put in my heart England, said Dave Smith, with regards to who's winning the Euros. Alan Saint-Maximin thoughts. I would have him over Adama Traore. I think I said this to you guys recently. Although, look, there hasn't been a single thing that I've seen around Saint-Maximin other than some Liverpool fans on Twitter and Instagram saying to him that why can't he come in and Sadio Mane go, to which Alan Saint-Maximin, to his eternal credit, told him to stop disrespecting Sadio Mane, and rightly so. Would you take Mahaley? Is that how you pronounce him, from Atlanta? Again, I feel like this is a bit of match of the day fever, buddy, because he had a very, very good game again today for Denmark. And any Danish people I know do think that he's an absolutely quality player. And if you're playing Atlanta under Gasperini, you have to be a good footballer, because he's a good coach that, has a good eye for talent. So I won't say I know a lot about him, but, a lot of boxes tick there. People that do watch him speak highly of him. I really do rate Gasperini, the manager of Atalanta, as well, and I like the way he goes about playing football, although sometimes he's a little bit too attack-minded. How good is Connor Bradley? Hand on heart, Josh, I'm not the right person to ask about that. Jack Gill, next time we have Jack on, I promise you I'll ask Jack about it, because Jack watches a lot of the academy stuff. Silas is 22 from Congo, 15 goal contributions in 25 Bundesliga games this season. See, I don't like this goal contribution shit, by the way, and this isn't a dig at you, buddy, sorry. I just don't like the goal contribution. You either score or you assist. I don't like them being mushed together to make the number sound higher. Where do I think Ramos will go? To hell, hopefully. Would you get Andre Silva? No, I wouldn't. Don't think he's the right fit for Liverpool. Personally, just you asked my opinion, and that is my opinion. Camavinga at Ron's is who you're thinking of. No, it isn't, and I did say Camavinga was at Ron. Again, it's not Camavinga. Somebody said earlier on who it was, and again I've already. Sumare, is that the guy? Have I heard of Goretzka delaying his contract? Have you heard of Goretzka's wages? I mean, again, a brilliant article from Melissa Reddy at the time when he was going to sign for Bayern Munich, said that he wanted ridiculous money to come to England, and I mean ridiculous money. So even if Goretzka doesn't sign on, forget about him. He's not going to Liverpool. Really good question from Leslie, and this is a name that I keep meaning to bring up. Would you take Olmo? Yes, I do like to look at Danny Olmo, and I think he's a fine footballer. So yes, I would take Olmo in a heartbeat. Do you not like Ramos? No, Sergio Ramos is a cunt. Can't be any clearer than that. And if that gets the stream demonetized, totally worth it. Totally worth it. What about Martin Braithwaite? Nah, he's got to stay. He's got to stay at Barcelona and prop up Lionel Messi. Do you know what I mean? Nah, look, Braithwaite. How mad is it, by the way, that his career has gone to where it is and that he's now at Barcelona, and he scored a good goal today as well. Although he had to wait for VAR to give him the nod in that one. Would you sell Sadio Mane and pay the difference for Jack Grealish? No, I love Sadio Mane. I think Sadio Mane has a lot of the unpredictable about him. And by Sadio Mane's own admission, last season he wasn't at his own really high standard. So, I think Sadio Mane will come back with a bang this season. I really do. Poulsen. Is there a question? He's just had Poulsen question mark. To Liverpool? No, he's not good enough. Doing well at Leipzig, by the way. Just don't think he's good enough for Liverpool. What about Jeremy Doku? That's another very, 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 very realistic option, Davey. Doku, long links going back to Liverpool. Looks really good when he's been playing for Belgium in the Euros and that as well. And Jeremy Doku is somebody who, without a shadow of a doubt, if the opportunity arose, I truly do believe Liverpool will go in for the guy. So Doku, definitely put him in the watch this space pile, because whether it's this summer or not, I think Liverpool will make a play for Jeremy Doku at some point, because we have a long held interest in him. Do I play FIFA? I do not know. I don't. Would you take Ryan Bertrand? Or no, sorry, I read that as Ryan Bertrand, but you were talking about Bertrand Traore. And the reason I read it as Ryan Bertrand is because he's leaving Southampton on a free, and we potentially may need a new left back to come in and provide competition for Robbo. So maybe it was wishful thinking from my part. Would I take Bertrand Traore from Villa? No, I don't think he's good enough. I think he's a little bit too hit and miss. Craig, favourite food? All the food. Look at me, all the food. No, pizza. Love pizza. Mane ended the season very strongly, so we'll definitely be back to his best. I hope so, Jake. I really do. Opinion on Sancho to United? It's a good piece of business for Manchester United, and I think he'll do well there. Would I have liked him at Liverpool? Yes, I think most Liverpool fans would admit that. But once I heard the wage that he was getting offered at United, I knew we were never going to compete with that. We don't pay anybody 350 grand a week, let alone a young man coming in from Germany. We don't even pay Mohamed Salah, Virgil van Dijk that type of money. Would I take Julian Draxler? Nah, he's a mercenary. Anyone that signs for PSG in my head goes there for one reason and one reason only. So, MBAPPE, I can kind of make peace with him going there because he's French, it's in Paris. But Julian Draxler, no. He went there and he hasn't even excelled since he's been at PSG, to be honest. If anything, he's possibly gone a little bit backwards. Would I rather fight Ramos or Jake Paul? Ramos, definitely, because Jake Paul actually knows how to box to some extent and is young, whereas Ramos is getting on much like myself. And I probably have more dislike for Sergio Ramos than Jake Paul, even though I don't really like Jake Paul very much. But let's go with Sergio Ramos for that one. Because I think with Ramos, you just want to go in and headbutt him, wouldn't you, straight away? You just get disqualified. You take the disqualification. What about James Ward-Prowse to Liverpool? It would be a decent piece of business, but you've got the whole, he's English, he's at a Premier League club. Yes, we've been to Southampton before on a bit of a shopping spree a few times. Dejan Lovren, Virgil van Dijk, Adam Lallana. So, never say never, but maybe we've smoothed the path a little bit when we've sent Danny Ings there when we sold him, and then of course we sent Takumi Minamino on loan there as well. So never say never, but I do like him. Yes, I do think he's a good, steady, solid footballer with a great set piece, of course, as well. Favourite Liverpool legend? Robbie Fowler. When I joined the stream, I saw Craig's jersey and thought it was a custom-made Anfield Agenda jersey because of the YouTube sponsor. I'd buy that merch. Well, watch this space, mate, because, we will have some really nice Anfield Agenda merch coming out probably towards the start of the season. We're being so picky about it that we're still going through manufacturers to make sure that the stuff that we get is unique and is extremely high quality and will give good value for money. We'd rather obviously make a lot less on anything and give you guys good quality. So keep an eye out for this space because we've got some kick-ass designs that we've been playing around with. So there will be some hoodies and t-shirts and polo shirts and maybe 3/4 zips and stuff like that coming out soon. And I want to do it in a way that maybe we can nationalise it for each person as well. So maybe there's a little nod towards the country that you're from as well. Right, a couple of more questions, folks, and then I'm going to go grab me a shower because I won't lie to you, I stink. What do I think about Vinicius Jr.? Still, I don't want to say inconsistent because that's very unfair, but still to develop. Undoubted talent, but he won't leave Real Madrid. Can't wait, some people are saying. Opinions on chairs. I like chairs. Chairs are my friend. Fat people like me like chairs. We don't like walkies. We like chairs. I have a throne though, so I'll take your chair and raise you a throne. What have we got? Do I rate Marcel Sabitzer? He's a decent footballer, yes. Yes, I do. Not to the Liverpool level, but, fine footballer. Are the MBAPPE rumours true? I don't believe them to be true, mate, no. I mean, I'd be over the moon if I was proved incorrect, as long as it didn't mean we screwed over Mo Salah. What's the worst Liverpool performance from last year? 7-2. 7. 7. 7. 7. I felt like Monica from Friends in that scenario. What do I think of Canade? Love Canade. I think it's a great piece of business. I'm a little bit confused by why we didn't perhaps even try and go back in and tempt Schalke with a lower offer for... sorry, I'm distracting myself here. So we know that we have... we're probably going to sell Nat Phillips at this moment in time, and 15 million seems to be the price point. But we had Ozan Kabak, who we had an option to buy for 18 million euro. We didn't take up that option, but Schalke are in such a financial mess that I'm a little bit confused as to why we may sell Nat Phillips and not take a punt on Ozan Kabak. Obviously, Klopp has a better gauge of this, haven't seen him in training. Messi or Cruyff? I wasn't young enough to watch Johan Cruyff, as amazing as he was from the bits and pieces I've seen, mate. And Johan Cruyff as a manager and as a footballer almost changed the sport, but I didn't get to watch him live, mate, so I'm going to have to go with Messi. I did get to see Maradona, by the way, which is why I often harp on about Maradona being my favourite of all time. Did I see the Bale interview? I did. It didn't. It wasn't a great look, if I'm being honest with you, for Mr. Bale. Craig, thoughts on Sander Berg's relegation clause being around 12 million? Again, Sander Berg, his name has been linked to Liverpool for quite a while, actually. And, at 12 million, if you were to say, get rid of Shaqiri, who I'm not saying, Shaqiri obviously plays a lot more on the front foot than Sander Berg, but if you were to free up a space in the squad and you wanted somebody to come in and give you a good option, at 12 million, we do love a relegation clause, so... I wouldn't be averse to it at that type of money at all. But not as the Genie replacement, but maybe to beef up the squad. I'd have no problem with it at that price. I've already answered the Vinicius Junior question, mate. Either you're not fucking paying attention or you're just being an arsehole. But either way, I've answered it. Makes no sense to sell Phillip and buy Kabak. Of course it does. It makes loads of sense. Namely, that Ozan Kabak's style of football is far more suited to Liverpool's system than Nat Phillips is. Nat Phillips hasn't got the pace that Ozan Kabak has. Nat Phillips can't do some of or hasn't got some of the attributes that Ozan Kabak has. And he's also a few years older than Ozan Kabak as well. So Kabak has 2 or 3 years development still left in him. So I think, respectfully, I think you're wrong on that one. Berg, very solid for 12 million. Right, I'm going to just boot this idiot out now. Hang on. I've had enough of his spamming. Essien or Fabinho? Fabinho. I'm going to be shite about Essien. He didn't play for Liverpool. Would I take a Norwich player? Yes. Norwich have some good footballers at the club. So, again, Todd Cantwell is somebody who we looked at, didn't make a move for, but still somebody who I think, under Klopp would bloom and become... a very good player. But with Norwich coming back up to the Premier League, I'm sure he'll stay there. Malin looks great. He does, Sheldon. I won't disagree with you. I can see why we'd look at Daniel Malin and think, yeah, value there. Save Nat Phillips, said Mick Wall. Look, I think as Liverpool fans at times we're a bit it's not a bad thing actually. This is going to sound like it's a bad thing, but we're a little bit too reactionary. So Nat Phillips, brilliant end to the season, a massive part of why we managed to achieve Champions League football, and has certainly done his career no harm. But in the cold light of day, there's a reason why the club are going to sell Nat Phillips, because he doesn't seem to be good enough for the way we want to play. So if he goes to Brighton, if he goes to Burnley or wherever he does go, a massive thank you, big club hug. And I won't say a bad word about the lad, but I just don't think he's good enough for Liverpool. I really don't. Opinions on Man City's spending spree with Kane and Grealish. Well, they haven't spent a penny yet, mate, so, if they get them over the line, we'll talk about them, and it is a frightening prospect, but they haven't spent anything yet. Do I think 30 million for Buendia was a good piece of business by Villa? Yes, I think Villa have been clever in a lot of the transfers they've done. Look, Ollie Watkins, another good example. People kind of went, taking a bit of a chance here on Ollie Watkins with the price they paid, but look now, I think, I said before, I'd have Ollie Watkins. I don't mean in a sexual term. I mean, he's a good looking kid and all that, but I mean, at Liverpool. We're very protective of our players, which isn't a bad thing. Not at all, mate. No, I love that. I love that about Liverpool fans. That they're protective of our players. That's brilliant. We should be like that. I mean, I'm not sitting here slagging Nat Phillips, and I never would. But I'm trying to be realistic in saying there's probably a reason why, he'll move on. And it's good for him as well, because he gets to get himself a Premier League career and gets regular football, and maybe we'll look back at this and go, wow, he went through 3 or 4 more levels, and how wrong was Craig and how wrong was Klopp. But, I wish him the best, whatever happens. What was my first Liverpool jersey? It was the candy fleck one, the grey one, from 1990. So I got it for my birthday. We were in Sligo, and we were away for the weekend, and my dad took me to a sports shop. It was the weekend of my birthday, and he said, what would you like? And I seen that Liverpool shirt, and I got it. And I have a moody copy of it upstairs with the Adidas badge on it that I refuse to wear. But yeah, that was my first one. Do I want Damsgaard? No. Sorry, I don't mean that. No offence intended. I'm always worried that people, if I say no to a player, I'm speaking to somebody from that gentleman's particular country, and that they feel like I'm being dismissive of their country in some way. I mean, I don't mean to be, but no will be the answer. Does it still fit me? The original one I threw out many moons ago. Well, look, if I told you how stupid I've been with shirts I've thrown out over the years, honestly, I've thrown out some stupid, we've moved so many times that, when you're moving, I don't know if a lot of you guys have moved around a lot, but you're moving, you're packing up, you're just throwing out anything. And unfortunately for me, being an idiot, I threw it out along with some other jerseys that they wouldn't fit me, of course, but yeah, I still would have liked to have kept them to give to my son, but I was an idiot and didn't keep them. Would I take Pereira from West Brom? No. Good player, but not, for me, not consistent enough. Gucci or Louis Vuitton? For me, you see her? Neither. Far too posh for me, both of them, mate. Nike, Adidas, New Balance. That's a bit of Craig right there. Craig, Robin Goosens would be insane. Left back, left wing, midfield option. Been class for club and country. He definitely stood out in the game before last for Germany. I remember thinking, wow, he looks really, really good. So I don't know if it's a bit of match of the day fever, but I won't lie to you, mate, and say that I've watched much of him at club level. Torres or Firmino? I'm going to say Firmino, because I don't think it's a fair comparison. Fernando Torres was an old-fashioned number 9, and by that I mean in the way Bobby Firmino isn't a number 9. He's a striker. Bobby Firmino, to me, is a 9.5. Kind of probably best suited to play just behind the attacking players. But Bobby Firmino has been so important to the transformation of us under Jurgen Klopp that I think he gets underappreciated by a lot of Liverpool fans. So for me in that scenario, I'm going to say Bobby Firmino. Craig, I had a dream we signed Tielemans and Martinez, and you were screaming. I mean, I probably would be, and you could probably drop the S at the start of that last word, and I probably would be that as well. Would the fact Mino Raiola is Malin's agent put you off? Not if there is a buyout clause. So I don't think that Daniel Malin is at the level that he could command an absolutely ridiculous wage. I mean, Raiola will want his hand greased and he'll want a nice chunk of change, but we pay agents decent money. So, this isn't a De Ligt situation. This isn't a Paul Pogba situation where Daniel Malin will suddenly want 250 grand a week. I think him having spent time at Arsenal, I think he'd be more realistic. So, ideally, I think, yeah, stay away from Raiola where possible, but I wouldn't say it's a deal breaker. I just think it might be, treat it with kid gloves kind of situation. Why would you get Minamino back from, or would you get Minamino back from Southampton? Well, we have got Minamino back from Southampton, mate. He's coming back, although there's a train of thought that maybe Southampton might try and get a permanent deal for Takumi Minamino. There's also been links to a move back to Spain, and I think a move to Italy, if I'm right. What would I do if Liverpool signed Phil Jones? Probably go to I was going to say Melwood because I'm so used to saying that. I'd probably go to Kirby and I'd break in through security and I'd go right up to Jurgen Klopp and I'd take those glasses off his head and I'd look through them to go, mate, are you fucking really blind here? Or, get your ass to Specsavers, because either that or it'd make him have a full medical checkup because I'd be worried that he lost the plot, one or the other. But yeah, it wouldn't happen, thankfully. Do I want Sander Berg? I talked about it a little bit earlier, mate. I said at that £12 million relegation clause that somebody mentioned, be worth a punt. 12 million for another decent player to bring in midfield. Not as the Genie replacement, but to beef up the squad, I wouldn't say no. Did I see Van Dijk's goal in training? I didn't see the goal. No, I did see the pictures of him back doing more stuff in training. Are we getting MBAPPE, yes or no? I'm not going to answer you because you're a spamming little prick. So stop being a spamming little and maybe you'll get an answer. Or you'll get booted out, which I'm sure you deserved from David Newell. So well played, David. Do I think Jones should get a loan? Not a chance in hell, Daniel. He is going to be a part of this Liverpool midfield this season, Curtis Jones. No, he won't be getting loaned out. No way. And I think he deserves the shot as well. And I'd say you might agree with me, Daniel. At least I hope you agree with me. I think if MBAPPE wants to leave, we're the second club he'd go to besides Real. I don't even know if we would be second anymore. One of the big things about him wanting to go to Real Madrid, look, of course Madrid is a massive club, I'm not denying that, but Zinedine Zidane was their manager. Zinedine Zidane, a French icon, a World Cup winner like MBAPPE, somebody who Kylian Mbappe looked up to, somebody who he would have loved to have played under and learned from. But Zinedine Zidane is not the Real Madrid coach anymore. So, and then of course you have to remember as well that they have the possibility of maybe not having European football. I know the investigation is suspended at the minute into the Super League stuff, but that's still hanging over their head. So I don't know if we are number 2 anymore. Any news on Tsimikas? Just that I'd seen links with him and a move to Italy today. But again, it's very worrying when you see both your backup fullbacks being linked with moves away and no talk of any potential replacements. From the Nico Williams scenario, it's, Conor Bradley or Joe Gomez, which is a lot of pressure on another young lad, and Joe Gomez isn't the best at right back, far better as a centre back, and also has had a lot of injury concerns. Would you loan Harvey Elliott out again next season? That's the most difficult one for me of all the youngsters, because I tend to say no, but I also don't want to stunt his development and his growth. So he did quite well under Tony Mowbray at Blackburn, and I don't believe we'll send him out on loan unless we sign some more attackers out of nowhere. So I think he'll stay next season. I just hope that he gets enough game time. Do you think it's time for Bobby to move on and we invest? I give it one more year. I'd give it one more year. Why would we sell Nico Williams? Because he wants to go and play first team football. It's not me saying we should sell Nico Williams. Apparently Nico Williams wants to go in search of first team football. And, the club usually wants on in somebody's way like that if they want to go. And look, I would never slag anybody off for wanting to play regular first team football. A footballer's career is short, and if Nico Williams wants to go and in search of regular first team football, I'd wish him all the best. Right, look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go. Tomorrow I will be on That's Football with Mark Olbridge for what game are we doing tomorrow? 4:30 for, what's the 5 o'clock game tomorrow? I'm not even... Yeah, Netherlands, Czech Republic, sorry. I'll be there with Netherlands, Czech Republic with Mark on That's Football at 4:30. I'll be back here on Anfield Agenda then at 10 o'clock tomorrow night. Then on Monday, I'm on That's Football for both games. I'm on there for the 2 games with Mark on Monday, and I will be recording with Leon a preview ahead of the England game for Anfield Agenda, and then I will be doing the England game here on Anfield Agenda, England against Germany on Tuesday. So look, ladies and gentlemen, have a lovely Saturday. I know it's almost over and all. Thank you to everyone that sent 40th birthday wishes to Sabrina, much appreciated. And look, hit that subscribe button, drop a like on the video, and again, please do go over and watch that video for me. Watch the Liverpool 27 million Marlon move one, because if that gets to 10k, it triggers something in our deal with One Football. So, you know, I don't want to tell you too many details, but it would really help us out. We're a couple of hundred away at the minute, so if you get a chance, please do go and watch that as well. But look, thank you again for coming in, sharing some of your Saturday night with me. Lots